Hi, everyone. Today we're going to talk about anger and anger management. And if you saw my video last week, I had one about how, in the little video, how to go from anger to peacefulness. And the blog was about who holds your switch, and that the switch is just like an electrical current in your body. So when you get angry, it's like all these electrical impulses are going off, and you hold your switch. So you can flip it up or flip it down. And if flipping it down turns it on, you can flip it up as easy and turn it off, because nobody should have that much control over you that you can say, well, you made me mad. No. The devil made me do. No. The traffic light, the jam, nothing. You are controlling it. And I'm going to talk a little bit today about controlling your anger before it controls you. Our court systems are full of people who fail to control their anger. I was looking in my wonderful big paper here in Douglasville, Georgia, 5 pages. Comes out Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And I always look at the arrest that they made, and they only have like 5 or 6. And then I look at the age range, and they're from 19, and I think the oldest this week was 54 years old. And the crimes they committed was from simple assault. I mean, like touching somebody who doesn't want to be touched. And I mean, literally, this is a simple assault because it was unwanted, and it was a $1,000 fine. And then there was some who committed burglary, broken cars. Some, had drugs with the intent to sell. And so, those who did really violent crime got no bond. But the bond ranged from $1,000 to $7,000. So, I was looking at that and putting it together in my mind. The therapy that I use is called CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. Because as a pastor, I teach my people all the time, you must forgive as Christ forgave you. But I put a caveat to that. I say, you forgive the person, but you don't forgive the behavior, because the behavior needs to be addressed. Now, listen to me carefully. You forgive me, but it's the behavior I can't forgive because it needs to be addressed. Now, once it's addressed and I see drastic changes in the behavior, or I see some, modifications in that behavior, then that will just go away. And I don't bring it back up and say, you remember when? You remember when? That's not what you do. Because one thing in anger management, when you're in a situation where you got into it with a spouse, or you're in a relationship and the person starts arguing and you start pointing your finger saying, you remember when? And you need to keep it focused on you. I feel uncomfortable when you say, I am uncomfortable with you popping that gum. I am uncomfortable with you leaving the sink dirty. I am uncomfortable with you leaving the dishes. I'm uncomfortable with you throwing your clothes around with the expectation that I'm going to pick them up. That's an intelligent way. Now, if you don't get the response, go to angermanagementcoaches.com and look at the other methods that I gave you listed in the blog on who holds your switch, how you can control your anger before it controls you. And we all know that anger, we all know what anger is and how it's felt, because anger is developed in a child, in a baby. You can tell if you've ever been a mom, an aunt, an uncle, you can tell just as good when that baby gets mad and he go to frowning up and screaming and crying, and you bottle feed the baby, you change the diaper, you burp the baby, you lay the baby down. He just laid, just screaming. And if I can ever find that video on Facebook where the little boy is arguing with his aunt, can't speak, in Pampers, but she would say, you can't talk to your aunt like that. He just, and when he finished, she would say, I've asked you not to do that. And he would wait till she finished, and then he would interject. So you see that behavior is starting now. So I responded with, it's cute now, but one day it's not going to be cute. When they get into their teens and they think that behavior is acceptable, it's not going to be cute anymore. And you are going to be angry, but you allow that behavior to, to manifest itself. We've all felt it. We've all been there, whether it was a fleeting annoyance. Oh, goodness, that get on my nerve. That's anger. Or as a full-fledged rage. Now, y'all, before I learned better, I can truly say I identify with people who snap. I didn't kill anybody. I didn't physically put my hands on it. But I got so angry. I can't say I got so angry, I went psychologically blind. And all I knew I wanted to do was to tell them what was on my heart. Now, before I got saved, the old Della, I was a cusser. Y'all, I cuss so till whatever I called you, you felt like it. That's just how bad I cuss. And I thought it was cute. But a lady named Maud Bogus told me, she said, Della, you're a beautiful woman, a beautiful girl at that time. And she said, but your mouth is so dirty. And y'all, I never thought about it. She said, what that cussing does is show the limitations of your intelligence. If you can't find nothing else to say but the cuss word, you need to try to use a euphemism so you won't use it. So you control your anger before your anger get out of control. And I was so out of control at that time. And I'm just, I'm telling it on me because I know me. Back then, I cussed the person from the top of the head to the sole of their feet. And they were in my car, and they were aggravating me and aggravating and aggravating me and aggravating me. And I pulled over into the passage lane. This is just how out of control I was. The anger had gotten me out of control. I pulled over into the passenger to the lane where you turn and stomped on my brakes. And I turned around to him and I told him from the top of his head to the sole of his feet what I thought about it. I was so blind, I drove all the way where I was going to go, parked my car, went into my job and worked 12 hours. And just before I got, I said, let me call and check on the person. They wouldn't even answer the phone. But I was through with it after I got it. But see, that's not something or a place that I desire to get to ever again. Anger is a completely normal, usually healthy human emotion. All anger is not bad. All of it's not bad. Let me give you an example. I told this on my Blog Talk Radio when I had a pro and con about anger and anger management. And Elder Ron Lee from Little Rock, Arkansas was my guest. I said, my anger drove me to positive places. Now, let me give you an example. I lived in Virginia as a child till I was about 10. And my mother's husband, who was not my father, said his mother was sick and they had to move to Arkansas because his mother was sick. Well, guess who met us at the car saying, hello. And she was supposed to be on her deathbed. Miraculous, right? So now we're stuck in Arkansas. At that time, it was like maybe 7 kids, 2 parents. We moved to a plantation, and actually in the 1960s in Arkansas, there were still plantations. And I spoke to one of my nursing home patients one time. He said, oh, that's Mary Curran. Oh, everybody knew Mary Curran. She was the meanest slave master from way back. So I learned to pick cotton, chop beans. I learned outside toilet. We lived in a 4-room house that you could sit in the kitchen and look through the cracks in the wall. We had to stuff cotton in the wintertime. We had a pump. We had a garden. And we left a bucket of water on the table every night to prime the pump the next day to get fresh water. So, that's the background. I'm just giving you a little background where I came from. So don't, y'all look at me now. No, I know what it is to eat kidney beans, pinto beans, navy beans, black-eyed peas, a hunk of cornbread. And if we got fried chicken, it was a chicken back. That's what we got. And I didn't know what a canned biscuit was. We made biscuits. I can make biscuits still to this day. Cornbread. And that's why I said the pandemic ain't going to stop me from eating because I can cook. Thank God for that. But my mom, when her husband left, we got on welfare. So back then, the welfare client worker would come, and that would probably call them case managers, and would come to the home to make sure that she didn't have a man in the house. And because they didn't allow you to have boyfriends if they were providing services for you. So here I am, 14 years old, going on 15, and she says to me, when are you going to start having your baby so you can get on welfare? It crushed me for her to say that to me. It hurt me down on the inside for her to say that to me, because that was not my goal nor my intentions. It made me so angry, you all. It pushed me. It drove me to go from a GED to a PhD. See, that anger that you got, you can control that thing and make it good for you. I went to school, first Black CNA in the state of Texas. Graduated, worked 5 years as a certified nursing assistant, went back to school, got my LPN, worked 5 years as an LPN, went back to school and got my RN, worked 5 or 6 more years, went back and furthered my education. That drive that lady put in me, I didn't use it in a negative way. I used it to get where I am today. So you can control your anger. Because I could have, fulfilled her prophecy. But I was determined not to ever, ever be a welfare case. Never. And I chose a profession that I had a job 24/7, 365 if I kept my license good. Well, as time had it, see, this is still controlling your anger. As time had it, I was working at Baptist Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee, where Elvis Presley used to come. And she came in as a patient. I saw a chart and I looked at the demographics and it said the town that I grew up in. And she was my patient. So I walked in and introduced myself. And I told her I was going to be her nurse for that day. And she frowned up and looked at me and she said, seems like I know you. But by this time, years had passed. Y'all, I was way into my 20s. And I had 3 kids by then. I was almost 30 years old with 3 kids. So she kept puzzling herself. And I said, oh, don't worry about it. I have a face that people say, I know you from somewhere. And I apparently I do, because people will tell me in a minute, don't I know you? And I said, no. Didn't you go to school with me? I said, no, I didn't go to school here. So, and so she kept puzzling and she asked a friend, she said, do you know this? Do you? She said, no. She said, well, okay. So for about 5 days, I took care of this lady until my off day. She called the charge nurse in and asked the charge nurse, since I did such a good job of taking care of her, did she mind if I come in and she pay me to take care of her for 2 days I was off? And I would not have to stay the whole day. So I would get up, get there by 7. I give her a bath, make her bed, make sure breakfast was served, fill out her dinner and her lunch and her dinner menu, and leave her room nice, neat, in place. And I would do that on my off days. So, a few more days went by. She said, I know you. Aren't you one of those Lee children? And I said, yes, ma'am. She said, you're the oldest girl, aren't you? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, God brought you back to me in a dream last night. And she said, I remember this little chubby Black girl. And I remember, God let me remember what I said to you. She said, I beg you right now, if you never forgive anybody, please forgive me for doing and saying what I said. She said, I was so wrong. She looked at my name badge. She said, I cannot believe that you are the one who's washing me from head to toe, who's feeding me, who's giving me my medicines, who's making sure that I'm taken care of. So my anger drove me to a place that it was all taken care of. People who worship the universe or look at the universe, they say karma is a bad something when it comes back to your front door. But I say what goes around comes around. But I handled it in such a Christian manner till she couldn't believe it. The day that she was passing away from her cancer, I was off. She asked them if they would call me and ask me to come. She wanted me present. And I left my home and I came and I walked in the room. She said, "Oh, you made it." She said, "Because I'm getting ready to go." She said, "But if you'll hold my hand as I go," she said, "I'll know everything is going to be all right." And I did. I held her hand. So anger can be used in a positive way or a negative way. You can lash out and hit somebody, or you can lash out and grab something that will be useful to you and others. Anger is an emotional state, intense from mild to a rage. There's a doctor, a PhD named Spielberg, not the one who makes the movies. He's a psychologist who recognizes the study of anger like emotions. It's accompanied by physiological or biological changes. Have you ever got so mad, y'all, to, ooh, your stomach? You're like, "Oh, my stomach is so upset. My stomach is so upset. Oh, I got such a headache." And then you realize, ooh, you say it. They made me mad. No, you allowed them to make you mad. Now, I've been knowing this since the 1980s, that I'll say it because it's just like a second nature. Ooh, that doctor really made me mad. No, I allowed them to control me. They flipped my switch and I didn't have sense enough to go back and switch it off. Memories of traumatic, engaging events can also trigger anger feelings. You know, when you are molested, sexually molested, or physically abused, or if you are mentally tormented, one of the things that I really didn't realize, and then people probably still don't think that I am, but I think I've something's happened. I don't know you all, but when I was younger, I was labeled the FBI. Now, you would think that means Federal Bureau of Investigation. They call me fat, black, and ignorant. Can you imagine as a child or a teenager, people calling you fat, black, and ignorant? You're in poverty, you're chopping cotton, you're picking cotton, you're chopping beans, you live in a 4-room house with a mom and a dad. Everybody couldn't even get a plate. We had to eat out of pot tops. I'm just telling you because, a slop job wasn't no big deal. We had a garden and we had an outside toilet. So then to be labeled fat, black, and ignorant. See, I could have took that anger right there, and when I got the opportunity, I could have been a thief, or I could have been a murderer. I could have been anything else. But I looked at, what can I get out of this? I'm fat, I'm black, and they say I'm ignorant. I said, well, I can do something about the fat. I love me some black, and I can become intelligent, that I can now be intelligent. So I took control of my life. In the process of doing this and dealing with internalizing that anger, I got up to 320 pounds. I ate my feelings because when I was ingratiated, my tummy was full, I was happy. And see, y'all, I cooked. My family didn't know what canned biscuit was or canned vegetables. If they canned, I canned them in the summer and put them up for the winter. I had a place where I put sweet potatoes and potatoes that we grew in the cellar or in a cool, dark place so they would not go bad. So I had sweet potatoes and onions all year round. I had canned corn, tomatoes, anything you could put in a jar, mason jar, and can. I did that. So when I prepared for my family, all I had to really do is go to the store. And if my mother-in-law killed a hog, I didn't even have to go get meat. And if my other neighbor killed a cow, I didn't have to go get meat. I'd fill my little deep freeze up. I'd go in there and say, I'm going to have mashed potatoes, English peas, and a pork chop or make a meatloaf. It was something. But see, I took that anger and internalized it, became overweight, depressed, And all that anger was down on the inside. Nobody to express it to. Because in my household, a child was seen and not heard. I'm talking about expressing your anger. You can respond aggressively or you can respond. And that usually is what we do. The intensive and natural way to express anger is aggressively. Oh, baby, let me work that neck because I got something I got to tell you. And you ain't going to like it, and I don't care. That's how we do it. Now, my body alone, language alone, if I never said a word, you got an impression that you done really push my buttons. But you don't let nobody control you with a button. Bye, boy, and walk away. Close your eyes and deep breathe. Go for a walk. Just if you don't go but to the stop sign and back. I don't know how far your stop sign into the end of the gravel road to the next turn driveway and come back. But this is my best one that I like to do. I like to memory escape. My head, my eyes, my nose, my mouth, my neck, my chest, right on down to my toes are now on a beach. Or I'm overlooking a high mountain where it's clear, where everybody can see everything. You don't want, you know how I used to say this, keep it on me. I used to say, babe, you don't want to meet Della. You don't want to meet her because she ain't nice. Just, let's leave this alone. You don't want her to come out. All of us say we got an alter ego or another person. Not everybody, but a lot of people say it. And to me, when I say it in joking and jesting because it's only me. And you would think as much as I'm on here that I'm extrovert, but I'm really an introvert. I can be by myself and actually it doesn't bother me. Sheltering in hasn't driven me anywhere but to read more, catch up on movies more, work on my projects that I have going more. So you can express your anger in a positive way, or you can express it and you can be on a downhill spiral to nowhere. When do you know you need therapy? Is it after you shoot somebody? After you hit somebody? After you pick at a person until you make them hit you or make them shoot you? And I won't say make, but that is a causative factor in why you got shot or they got shot because the cognitive behavior was not under control. If you feel anger and really out of control, if it's having an impact on your everyday life, on your relationship, on important parts of your life, you might consider counseling to learn how to handle it. A psychologist, a licensed therapist, or a person like me, a certified anger management specialist. And out of all that I mentioned, I'm probably the most cost-effective one. And I do it virtually. So when you talk to your prospective therapist, tell him or her that you're having problems with anger that you want to work on. And y'all, it doesn't happen overnight. It can be 8 to 10 weeks. If you come to me and the therapy is going well, I don't have to refer you to anybody. You can just come here virtually, and it usually it's like twice a week, then, once a week until we work it out. It'd be twice a week for a little while to see if things that came up on Monday, maybe back Thursday, we can talk about it. And then if we seem like we're gaining, because a lot of our anger is it's so far buried so deeply. And I would hear people who had money say that they were sexually abused as a child, and them having money, people listen to them. But listen to me, you all, and I don't mean this in a harmful way of any kind, but there are very few Black women, especially baby boomers and before who were not sexually abused. I have not yet talked to, if I talk to 10, maybe one out of there say they never experienced sexual abuse. But then when I keep talking to them, they incurred or encountered verbal abuse. Verbal abuse. So I'm very transparent. I don't have anything to hide. You don't have heaven or hell to put me in. So I don't have any reason to get on here and lie. I mean, you go to my Facebook page, angermanagementcoaches.com. You can go to my ministry page, sendingwordministries.com. You go to my Facebook page, you can find School of Scriptures. You can find a Sending Word Power Hour. And I come on blogtalkradio.com, a Sending Word Power Hour. And I pick different days. And I'm right now doing on Wednesdays at 6 o'clock. And I usually preach, but last week I had the pros and cons, again, of anger management. And that was a very good. And if you get a chance to go there and listen, please go to Blog Talk Radio or Sending Word Power Hour and just listen to that Elder Ron Lee talked about and how it impacts. He even gave a example of how he got out of control and hit his brother with a box window fan when he was younger. And that's when he realized that he was really out of control. Again, when you talk to your therapist, have a list of things that your triggers. I talked to a young lady on Facebook and she brought it up because I wouldn't have normally done it there, but I just gave her I just told her really go to my page. And she talked about how her kid's dad knew just what to say to set her off. And I just told her go to my page and read some of the tips on how to control anger. You know, during this pandemic, there are a lot of people who are angry. They're very angry. They're bored. They're depressed. And if they already suffer from depression, they're even more depressed. But I use CBT. And I'm not talking about, what is that, CB, whatever oil that you use to, help calm you down. I'm talking about cognitive behavior therapy. All can be done virtually. It is a safe place. Y'all, it's a safe place because when you go to angermanagement.coaches.com, there is a contract form you have to fill out. I'm under the HIPAA guidelines. I have to keep records, and then I have an RSVP. Your first 30 minutes, if you come there, it's free. It's free. We're going to fill out the paperwork. And we're just going to crack the egg. We're not going to open it up. We're just going to crack it and keep cracking around till we can open it up smoothly. You can contact me at dtingamy@gmail.com. You can go on Facebook to Della Tingamy, or you can call the number that's right there on the Facebook and leave a message. Just leave a message, and I promise you I'll get back to you. Well, I'm just about out of time. I wanted to do a little quick 30-minute video about anger and anger management. Don't let anger control you. You control your anger. You are the one who can say whether you get angry or not. Now, it may come like a wind, whew, but you just take that wind and whip it back the other way. I was at the red light the other day, and a man was sitting there blinking his light to turn right. And he had a huge SUV, so I couldn't see around it. And I said, why he don't go ahead and turn right? And I took a moment and took a deep breather, inhale and exhale, and I just sat there. Well, when the light turned green, our car was in front of him, turned left. So I could have been angry about something I had no control over. But today I wanted to ask you the very important question, or tell you to control your anger before it controls you. I am Dr. Della M. Tingamy, Senior Founding Pastor of Ascending Word Ministries International. I am your certified anger management specialist, and you can email me at dtingamy@gmail.com. I want you to come to blogtalkradio.com on Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. The number is 347-308-8614. 347-308-8614. Come right into the studio. It'll prompt you and tell you to put up a question mark. If you got a question mark, but the message this week is just say the word. God bless you.